Today's story is about this girl who claims that she is actually in love with her father. Yes, you heard me right, her father. Yeah, this one was a wild one, dude. So, yeah, sit back, relax, grab something to drink, maybe some coffee, maybe some water, grab some popcorn, grab your Bitcoin miner, grab your abacus, and let's just jump right into the story. Enjoy. Anyways, the subscriber who sent in the story, which you can send in stories to my Instagram, by the way, in the description. So the subscriber, let's call this guy Dylan, right? And I got the name Dylan from a comment you guys left. Leave a comment for names you want me to use. I actually use them. Anyways, right, so this subscriber who we're calling Dylan, he was in this class, right? And there's a girl in his class. This girl's name was, let's call her Emily, right? I also got that name from a comment, dude. I actually read them. So this girl Emily in his class, he'd known her for a little while. She was new, but this was a couple months into the year, right? I think this was probably 2 or 3 months in. So while she was a newer student, right? He still she wasn't brand new or anything, right? So anyways, it's a normal day in class, or at least Dylan thought it was going to be a normal day in class. So Dylan's just chilling there, right? He's paying attention to the teacher. He's being a good student, bro. He's just doing what he's supposed to be doing, man. What can I say? And anyways, right, so Dylan, who's just chilling in this class, right? Chilling, having a good time. I mean, not really. He was in, some math class, getting absolutely destroyed by the subject, but, that happens to all of us, bro. I have a calculus class at 8 in the morning, dude. That's inhumane. But anyways, right, Emily is sitting kind of near him, and they're kind of in rows, and they're kind of in the back rows, right? So some people think that, the back rows are for kids that, that aren't paying attention, and, dude, I just kind of like the sky deck element of it. You can kind of look at everyone. I pay attention in class, and I still like the back rows. Anyways, right, so they're kind of sitting in the back, or at least they're far enough away that the teacher won't be able to hear them talking, right? So, right, Emily, who's been, Dylan doesn't know Emily that well, right? He's about to know her a little bit better, but he doesn't know Emily that well, right? She turns to Dylan. She also turns to a couple other kids, Dylan's friends, that are sitting around there. And she's like, guys, I have a boyfriend. And they're all like, alright, nice. Okay. Cool, that's awesome, man, good for you, shout out, kudos to you, bro, 100% nice, congrats, GG, well played, I don't know, dude, nice, okay, I don't know, dude, if I'm in a relationship, which, believe it or not, I'm not, I'm lucky, but anyways, right, if I was in a relationship, I'm not gonna go up to some kid who I don't know that well, right, and say, hey, guess what, dude? I have a girlfriend. Anyways, right, this girl Emily is just talking to all these kids, including Dylan, the subscriber, about her love, how she's in love with this guy, how she wants to marry this guy. My boyfriend, he's so amazing. And right, this is pretty weird. This is pretty strange, but dude, it gets a lot weird. Obviously, you've seen the title of the video, dude. You know it gets a little weirder, right? But yeah, so Dylan's a little bit weirded out by this. Which, in retrospect, this was the most normal conversation he'll ever have with this girl. But anyways, right, he was a little weirded out by this because it was, kind of strange, the fact that she would just go up to some random people and be like, hey, dude, I'm in a relationship. What? But anyways, right, since they're in class, Emily isn't really able to talk to them too much, but she definitely hammered home the point that she was in love. She was in a relationship with a guy she loved, right? It's just oh, he's so wonderful. I love this man. Just kind of stuff like that, right? And they're all okay. This is a little weird, a little bit uncomfortable, but not a huge deal, right? No one really cares. And right, so the next day rolls around, and Dylan sits back there with his friends, because him and his friends always sit back there. Emily has kind of rotated around the class, sitting in different places, not really, sitting in the same place again and again. But anyways, dude, she sits back there with them again, kind of sits in the same spot, and Dylan and the friends were okay, whatever, cool. She was a little bit weird yesterday, but no way she can top that. No way she can top yesterday, right? It's only gonna go up from here, man. 100%. It's only gonna go up from here. It's definitely not gonna get a little worse and weirder and stranger and more. Well, you'll see. So anyways, the next day rolls around, and when she sits down with Dylan and the other people, she's like, can I tell you about my lover, the one I love so much? And at this point, right, Dylan, he's trying to focus in class, man. He's got some assignments to do. He wants to be a doctor. He wants to go to medical school. He wants to be a gynecologist. Okay, dude, I have no idea what she wants to do. But anyways, right, Emily's like, I love him so much. I want him to be my boyfriend. And they're all like, okay, dude, like, okay, like, we don't really care. Because, right, they're thinking it's some random snot-nosed kid, right? Some random, like, Minecraft player, dude. That's not an insult, man. That's actually a compliment. If you play Minecraft, instantly 10x more attractive. Definitely. But anyways, right, she's like, do you want to know who he is? And they're like, okay. And she's like, he's my father. No, she didn't say it like that, but like, Luke, I am your father. No. But she was like, he's my father. And they're all like, hey, yo, huh? Like, yeah. So they all kind of like lose their cool in class. They're all like, excusez-moi. Right, at this point, the girl, who's been going off about this guy that she's in love with, she just breaks the news that it is actually her father or something. And they're all just like, this is not okay. This is really bad. Why can't I just have a normal day in class? I'm just trying to learn some quadratic equations, bro. I'm just trying to integrate some integrals or derivatives or adding. I don't know, dude. I don't actually know how old these kids are. But yeah, probably not integrals. I don't think it was college. But anyways, right, so they're just like, you're what? She's like, yeah. Oh yeah, did I not tell you the first time, guys? Obviously she didn't, and she 100% knew that, but whatever, right? She's like, yeah, I'm in love with my father. And at this point, right, Dylan and the other kids, they're just like, that's really not okay. Like, are you, like what? And she's like, no, you don't understand. You guys are haters too? Oh my God, I knew you guys would be haters as well. And they're just like, no, it's just not okay. Like, you understand why that's not okay. And she's like, you don't understand our love. No one understands our love. And she's just, and they're just like, God, like, oh my God, like, no, you don't understand what we're saying. It's just like, that's just not okay. Like, we're here to help you. You're a victim. Like, dude, like, no, you don't understand. We're not coming for you. We're trying to be here for you. Right? Like, oh my God. Anyways, right, Emily goes back all like upset or whatever. You don't understand my love, man. And, they were just kind of sitting there, and Dylan like turns to his friend and kind of gives him this look like, bro. And he gives the look back. He's like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know what to do here. And so anyways, right, the day ends, and, Dylan is, he's thinking about this for a very long time. I mean, when you go to bed and you just have stuff on your mind and you just cannot stop thinking about it, and the fact that you're thinking about it forces you not to you can't fall asleep because you're thinking. Dylan was up till like 2 a.m. just being like, bro, like, oh my God. So anyways, right, he gets into class the next day, and part of him expects Emily, sorry, I keep on mixing up these names. Part of him kind of expects Emily to come back and sit with, him and his friends, right? But Emily actually sits in a different part of the room. So he was like, oh, I guess, like, we pissed her off or whatever by saying that, like, what she was doing just, like, wasn't okay, and, like, that she needs to get some help, and that if she needs anything from us, like, man, like, we're a lifeline, whatever. But anyways, right, so Emily had gone over and sit with a different group of people. And, Dylan was sitting there just, paying attention to math class. But he notices that Emily starts like talking again. And she's kind of like whispering and turning around to them. So what Dylan does is he decides to really kind of like listen as hard as he can. He tries to really focus on what's going on. And he hears her saying, to them like, I have a boyfriend. I'm in love. The same shtick that she did with them. And then he also hears like 20 minutes later, do you know who the boyfriend is that I'm in love with? My father. And they have this, look, everyone has the same reaction, right? Everyone's just like, dude, like, that's not okay. Like, we're here to help if you need it, but like, that's not okay, man. Like, that's honestly not okay. But anyways, right, days go on. It's probably like, I'd say 1 or 2 more days after that happened that Dylan sees Emily kind of like migrate around the class. Like, she goes from one place to another, and he keeps listening. And when she goes to the very front of the room, he can't hear it, but it's like whispering to them. They all have a reaction. It's very obvious, right? It's very obvious what's going on. And she's basically going around telling all these kids a story about how she's in love with her father or whatever, right? And obviously everyone has the same reaction. But this is where things go wrong, right? She's telling so many people, and it's a very concerning story, bro. Like, it is honestly a concerning story. So eventually, right, one of these kids that she tells about this ends up going to the teacher and explaining everything. And yeah, that's where the story gets really, really, like, really interesting. Speaking of being in love with your father, I can't even say that, bro. Speaking of being in love with your dad, right? The word of today is dad. So if you made it this far into the video, comment dad down below. I'm gonna try and heart as many of those comments as I possibly can as a thank you to you guys for watching this far. I really do appreciate the watch time, and I can't get to all the comments. I do my very, very best to heart as many as I can, but I just physically can't get to them all. So apologies if you don't get hearted. I'll do my best though. Also today is your lucky day, because for every single person who leaves a like on today's video, leaving a like, that's all you need to do. You will actually, this is not a scam, you will actually receive nothing. I'm not even kidding. Leave a like in this video and you'll receive nothing. And for a limited time, I'm going to double that offer. If you want to receive not one nothing, but two nothings, all you got to do is, while you're leaving a like on the video, also turn on post notifications by clicking that bell. I'm not even kidding, dude. I'm feeling so generous. I'm willing to give away two nothings per person. Oh my God. Anyways, right, so things get really bad when the teacher finds out. Obviously, because the teacher, unlike these kids who are going to be like, hey, yo, like, what? She actually has to do something about this. Like, obviously, the teacher has to, like, report it or whatever. And that's where the story gets very weird. And a lot of this, like, Dylan, the subscriber, wasn't physically there, and he just heard it through the grapevine. So I'm going to have to, like, I can't explain it in first person anymore. But this is basically what went down, right? So the teacher ends up contacting the mom of Emily. And the thing is that the teacher doesn't, like, think, oh, you know, Emily might be, like, joking about it or whatever. She is legitimately thinks, like, oh my God, like, something really bad's happening. Let me just give you a little insight that Dylan didn't have at the time, and none of these kids, including the mom or the teacher, had at the time. Emily was making this whole thing up, like none of it was true, and she really just kind of wanted attention, and she liked the reactions she got from all the other kids. So, like, the reaction she got from Dylan and the friends, and the reaction she got from the other kids that, like, would be like, oh my God, like, that's crazy, right? Like, that's not okay. She really liked that, so she ended up just, like, making up the whole thing, making up being in love with her father, in a relationship with her father, all that stuff. But the problem is, like, that's a super serious claim, bro. Like, you can't be throwing that around. So anyways, right, when the teacher tells, like, the mom about this, the mom flips out and actually believes it at first. So it actually got so bad that the mom was like, threatened the dad, like, and the dad was saying like this, like, what are you even talking about? Like, obviously this isn't real. Like, you know, our daughter loves attention or whatever. But the mom was like, at first, like, she was so obviously, I mean, if I was the mom, I'd be freaking out as well. She almost got to the point where she almost, like, threatened for divorce or whatever. Like, it got really, really bad. And the thing is, right, Emily at this point, because it got so bad, she didn't even want to, like, obviously it would have been a very easy, not an easy fix at all, but it would have been like, it would have made a lot of things easier if she just came clean. But it was, like, so awkward and weird, and she felt so bad about, like, trying to get attention for something about, like, that serious and that weird, right? That kind of, like, as strange as possible. So she didn't say anything for a long time, long time meaning like a day, of, like, her parents going crazy or whatever, right? And, you know, because, like, the next day, right, Dylan goes into school, and, you know, Emily isn't there. He hears all about this from, like, a mutual friend who's, like, knew Emily's parents or whatever, or, like, the mom knew Emily's parents because, like, they greeted them when they moved into the neighborhood or whatever, right? And, yeah, so basically the next day when Dylan comes in, you know, Emily's not even there. He's, like, kind of looking for her, like, where will she be? She isn't there. Next day, Dylan walks in. She's not there either. She's not there for the next week, right? So basically what happens during that time is eventually Emily comes clean, and she explains, like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, it's so embarrassing. I guess I wanted attention or something. I know that's so weird. I'm so sorry. At this point, right, the mom was, like, on the verge of divorcing the dad. Like, it was a crazy scene. And at this point, right, Emily's like, I don't think I can go back to school at this point. Like, everyone's going to have to know that it's not true. And it's just so embarrassing, right? Anyways, right, at this point, Dylan, it had been, like, 3 weeks before he saw Emily in class again. And this is when he asked his friend, like, who he knew, like, kind of was, like, friends with Emily's parents. And this is when he explained everything. And basically at that point, right, Emily had decided to actually drop out of school. The parents actually, like, they moved or whatever. Like, they were in the process of moving. She had dropped out of school. She had started doing some online stuff. And they were just planning to, like, move. like straight up move. Like they were still kind of new into the house. Like they hadn't like really settled into the house. And the parents at this point were just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like, but like we can't have our daughter's life ruined. Like we're still new enough to this neighborhood that we could just not easily. None of this is easy. This is all very insane and very crazy, right? But they were like, we can just move. We can have a fresh start or whatever, right? Because they were also afraid that like all the parents, all the kids that like Emily had told, like the kids obviously would have told their parents because it's like, what the fuck? Like it is a crazy story, and they're just like, we just can't have this, right? So what happened was Emily and her parents, Emily drops out of that school. They move to a completely new place, and Emily's enrolled in a completely new school. And let me just say, I'm going to make a very solid bet that Emily does not say anything like this again. I think you can understand why, because it completely uprooted her life. But when, Dylan's friend was telling him this, Dylan's just like, all of that for attention, bro. We could have had a normal conversation. Man. Emily, you seemed okay. Like, we could have had a normal conversation, and none of this would have happened. Like, bro. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. Click on one of the videos on... Why have you not clicked on one of the videos, dude, bro? What?